But I think seeing that. Okay, pause though. Wait, what's going on?
I feel like you told enough.
Like, I hear you, and we can pivot, but I'm telling you right now, like, straight up, this is my truth.
We don't want that to become the narrative of what this interview is, you know. But I get it. Vent, do you know? All
No. I'm not venting. This is not venting. This is the truth. Like, I feel like I need some air now. After meltdown.
Brittany Renner is a social media superstar, fitness model, and an OG Instagram girl. She's also no stranger to navigating a world where everyone on social media thinks they know the real her. So, Brittany is stepping into the shade room to let the world know exactly who she is and speak her truth.
What's up, roommates? It's your girl Tembi, and today we have none other than Brittany Renner stepping into the shade room.
Okay, officially, hi. I'm happy to be here.
I'm so happy to have you. How are you doing today?
I'm better now that I'm here in front of you.
Yes, I love that for us. So you are literally one of the most intelligent, self-aware, articulate people on the internet, and I just feel like you don't get enough credit for it.
Well, thank you. No one has ever said that to me.
No, it's true. Like, if people actually really take the time to pay attention and listen to what you say, they'll get it. But they don't be listening sometimes.
Well,
but
real recognize real. So
real recognize real.
Thank you.
So obviously a lot of people are familiar with you or a certain perception of you. But in your own words, who is Brittany Renner?
So this is how we're starting the interview. Who are you? God, I feel like that's it could get kind of vague. I think for me, I'm a lover girl. I am a rebel with a cause. And I am a truth seeker. I'm a truther. I am big on the truth. So I think for me, I don't know. I just am.
You just am.
I don't know. I feel like I've just been through a lot of different things that don't really make sense, but I see my life starting to align and everything come together. And I'm starting to really see why I've gone through the things that I've gone through, because my voice is so impactful and so important. I don't know anybody that is in my lane, that speaks the way that I do, that is as candid as I am. So I know that my voice is extremely important.
Right.
In this generation.
Right, 100%.
Yeah.
And you were one of the first IG girlies, IG
I
models.
I'm
right?
an OG Instagram girl.
You're an OG.
Yes.
You're an OG. So what's the difference between being an IG model back then to now? Because you've been in the game for a while,
yes.
But a lot of things have changed. So what would you say are some of the main differences?
I would say, so I joined social media, I joined Instagram specifically back in 2012, July of 2012. And I feel like there were just a few girls that we just stood out. It was the Miracle Watts, the India Loves, the Lyra Galores,
yes.
like girls like that. So those are girls I consider to be OG as well. But I think the biggest difference now is that a lot of girls have a lot of followers. It's really not as special. You don't really stand out as much. Like the girl that plays volleyball for West Virginia has 200,000 followers. So I think now it's just a lot more competitive. There's a lot more visibility. So they're just across the board girls with a lot more followers. So I would say that, especially with how the algorithm and the Explore feed is set up, it's just, there are beautiful women everywhere. It's really not that special.
Who would you say you are on Instagram? So who are you on Instagram and who are you in real life? Is it the same person?
In the past, no. There was always a really big contrast with Bundle of Brittany versus Brittany Renner, because I feel like you have to have not only just extremely thick skin, but you have to have endurance. And this facade I created was really after a breakup, and I felt low. And I wanted to be this sexy siren bad bitch that just in the camera, you know,
right.
I wanted to be that. And what happened was I kind of created a Frankenstein. And I created that Frankenstein too because I didn't think that my authentic self was that interesting. So I feel like I had to kind of play up the persona and be extra in videos and look at me shaking my ass. Don't give a like over the top, because I feel like that's what generated views and followers, and that's what worked for me. So I would say, to get back to your question, is I'm bridging that gap now. But at one point in time, it was like night and day. I've had people that I know personally that are like, why are you a whole different person on Instagram versus real life? I'm actually a little sweetie pie in person. But it's like, why would I let Instagram know that?
Yeah.
You know, it was more so like,
You have to play up the character.
it was the character, and it was also a way for me to protect myself. Because I was vulnerable, because I am sensitive, I'm very introspective, and I didn't feel like a bunch of strangers deserved to see that side.
Right. So when we talk about the evolution of Brittany Renner, you've had so many different social media lives, you know, so our first introduction to you was like the fitness girl, right? Body goals, all of that. And then at some point it, you know, what was the natural progression from like the fitness girl to being linked to the likes of Tiana Trump in the Tatiana era, some people would say, you know, embracing it though, and to advocating and empowering women to living in their truth?
I would say that it went from fitness to, okay, now I'm living in LA, living my life, getting more comfortable on camera, making more videos, talking about dating, talking about whatever I'm going through. And I actually wrote about Tiana Trump in my book back in 2018. It was not planned for us to be friends. It was something that just organically blossomed into a friendship. And I think for me, getting to know Tiana behind the scenes, like when she would like make me brownies and do all these wholesome things. And I'm like, people would never know how she is behind closed doors. And I think that just with just her as an example, it really goes to show like you have to see experienced people, because it's like how she acts on social media, even for example, is so different than who I got to know. So I think for me, it just kind of, it aligned that way. I wasn't looking, I'm going to be the voice for women. Like, I speak for myself, you know, if it relates and it resonates, cool, but I'm never going to speak for majority. So it just kind of naturally happened.
All right, so I want to get into Jackson State University, okay? Because you have Deion Sanders, and he brought you to Jackson State University, your former college. And basically he brings you on to talk to his team. And in a sense, it's kind of an underlying tone of watch out for girls like me. Is that empowering or is that degrading for you?
When I originally agreed to do it, I thought it was empowering. You know, looking now from where I'm sitting, it doesn't really feel that good. But I think there was a lot that we gained from that conversation.
Right.
You know, his athletes, they asked a lot of really insightful questions. We're super tuned in, and I think all of us kind of learned something. So even though it may feel a little different than when I first agreed to do it, I still feel that it served its purpose.
Right.
You know?
When you have people on the internet, say very nasty things, you know, about you. How do you handle your mental, and how do you make sure like you're well balanced and you have, you know, a good head on your shoulders? Because you do. So like, what work do you put into to make sure that stays true and consistent?
I don't search my name on Twitter, and I haven't since probably 2015.
Wow.
People should definitely take that advice. Do not search your name on Twitter. You're going to get your feelings hurt. I do not read comments. You know how Instagram is. The people you follow will be at the top. So I'll read the people I follow. Unless I'm feeling frisky. I'm not scrolling past that. And overall, my opinion matters the most out of what anybody has to say. It's not that I don't care. I'm not, you know, I see it, but what I think about me matters more. So really honing in on what your truth is, because the only way all that chatter can bother you is if you believe in what they're saying.
Right.
Because the truth doesn't need validation. So why are you getting triggered by a stranger online? So that's why when I see people clapping back and doing all this extra shit, I'm like, a part of you believes that's true. Otherwise, you would pay it no mind.
Right.
Like, your outfit is green. If I said it was blue, you'd be like, okay, it's green. Right. You know, so it's just that simple. The truth doesn't need validation. So I just don't feed into that.
You talk a lot about living in your truth. So what is your truth?
the overall message for me, whether it's from dating to personal business, whatever, is I was assigned this mountain to prove it can be moved. And I'm going to show everybody that you can tell the truth and still get everything that you want. Because that's one thing I've always been against with celebrities and just living lies and trying to put on, you know, be the cookie cutter Disney. I don't do anything wrong. You know, I never admired that because it takes courage to tell your whole truth. And if it can be destroyed by the truth, it should be destroyed by the truth. Right. So what would you lose if you told your whole truth?
I know, that's your favorite thing to say. If it can be destroyed by the truth,
then it should be destroyed by the truth.
It should be destroyed by the truth.
You shouldn't have it.
Yeah.
So I think that's like my biggest thing, is just to prove that this mountain can be moved.
Most people know Brittany Renner for her bold opinions, self-awareness, and tell it like it is attitude. But not many people know about her life before the fame. Renner is opening up about her upbringing, family, and experiences that shaped the woman she is today.
Okay, so let's get into life before social media a little bit. So, you were raised by your grandparents.
Yes.
And you've shared before that, you know, they were racist. So what was that experience like, being raised by racists as a Black child? Like, do you feel it, the racism? Is it maybe not feel it because they are your grandparents, but you see it elsewhere with other people? What was that experience like for you?
I think when you're a young child in it, you don't understand. Yeah. When I went to Jackson State, I was able to see how I was whitewashed. I mean, I didn't know who Lil Boosie was until I went to Jackson State. So we weren't allowed to watch BET or MTV. Yeah. We only watch CMT. So that's why I know a bunch of random country songs. But,
what's your favorite country song?
The first song that comes to my head is I Should Have Been a Cowboy. But I'm not going to do it. It's our type of key. But anyways, don't do that. Anyways, I don't think you know. I don't think you know when you're a young person. That's all I knew. I was, you know, like I said, raised by them. I really didn't even understand the concept of skin color as like a young person either. I remember one of my friends from kindergarten, her mom was telling me, you know, white people are with white people, Black people are with Black people. And I'm like, well, how does that work? Because I'm both, you know? But you don't understand those conversations until you get a little bit older. But I see the truth for what it is now. And obviously I've gotten a lot more versed with both of my sides. So yeah, I didn't really know what was going on then. It wasn't until I was like much older.
What was the biggest culture shock when you went to an HBCU?
My favorite thing, I guess my favorite thing about going to Jackson State was the camaraderie in the classroom, how we all look out for each other. Yeah, I'd never seen anything like it. That was probably my favorite thing. That was not necessarily a culture shock, but that was my favorite thing about Jackson State. Is like, this is like a brother sisterhood like I've never seen before. But I think the music and the way everyone was dancing, and at the time they used to do the Mohead swag, all this shit. I'm like, what are they doing? You know, and I'm in my dorm room like trying to practice. No Rhythm Nation, you know me, but
you got the rhythm now.
Well, I know how to turn them. Well, but it took time because I look at videos like 5 years ago twerking. I'm like, look like such a little white girl, but now I mean, so it's just, I think the dancing and the music, just the whole
now
thing.
You know who Lil Boosie is.
Yes, that's true.
You had, your parents weren't really active in your life at the beginning, and you mentioned you had like kind of like a hatred for your dad, where it kind of impacted your preference in men, where you were like, I don't really like Black men. So what was the shift from that to being like, oh, Black men are kind of fine, you know? Like, what was that shift like for you?
As I was repairing my relationship with my dad, I was able to see beauty across the board. That's why I think people should really get to the root of their preference, because personally speaking, my preference was impacted by the lack of presence by my dad. Like, once I started healing the relationship with my father, I was like, hold on a second. I've been missing out. You know what I mean? So it's like, you really can't see the beauty of all people if you don't see it in yourself. And people should really ask why their preferences are
what they are
very similar. Because I don't know. I like to challenge some of that. Like, where does that come from?
Right.
You know? So once I started healing with him, my eyes were wide open.
Okay, and you wrote in your book, Judge This Cover, you kind of like talked about your relationship with your mom as well, and you said something to the effect of she loves Black D more than she loves me. But now she's like one of your rocks, right?
Absolutely.
So like, how did that change? Like, what did you guys have to like tackle and go through together to go from feeling that way to being like, I need this person in my life to survive?
So my mom actually bought my book and she read it, and the biggest thing with her about the book was she completely understood why I felt the way I felt. Not that she necessarily agreed, but she understood my feelings and she validated them when she didn't need to. So she was like, I understand where you're coming from. Your feelings are your feelings, and like nobody's taking anything away from that. So that was like a big thing for me, for her to just be like, those are your feelings, it's valid.
Yeah.
When I got pregnant, she moved to where I was at, and we kind of just had to start over. It really wasn't until I got pregnant that we started a relationship, and it took a lot of very difficult conversations, very uncomfortable conversations, and getting to know her getting to know me. And you have to understand, it went from 18 years old to now I'm 28 and pregnant. So we had a lot of time to make up to where I just never really talked to her. So it was just conversation after conversation of just getting to know her, asking her questions. What does she like to do? Spending time with her, picking her brain. Like, so how did you feel about this? That's how we were able to mend it, find a common ground, and then why we are best friends now.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing. I love that for you guys.
Thank you.
From Instagram personality to full-blown hustler, author, and entrepreneur, Renner is a woman with her eye on the prize. She's spilling the tea on just how her work ethic put her in the position to change her career trajectory for good.
Yeah. What was your ultimate goal growing up? Like, in terms of whether it's what you wanted to be, what you wanted to see, just in general. Like, as when you were younger, what was like your goal? Like, when I grow up.
Well, at one point in time, I said, when I grow up, I want to train orcas. I'm not getting in the cage with Silicon, okay? And I don't support SeaWorld or anything they do, or captivity. But I never had a clue. And I'm
Figuring out.
Sure am.
Yeah.
I never thought, joining Instagram back in 2012, that I would still be here, relevant, an important voice, doing what I'm doing.
Right.
Like, I've been like 10 years doing that. Like,
10
there's
years
no
in
way.
the game.
10 years, baby.
Shout out to you.
You know, so I've never had a clue. When I was
Yeah.
in school, I was just there because I played soccer.
And you were really good at soccer, and you went to college for soccer.
Yeah.
You were like one of the stars of your soccer team.
You better, okay, she did her homework.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think soccer was the only thing, that was like my first love, but I don't like being told what to do. So when I played semi-professional briefly in Pensacola Beach, I'm just like, this isn't for me, because who are you talking to, you know? So
Where does that
I've
come from? Not liking being told what to do.
It's been hard for me to respect authority.
Why?
Always, my whole life. Because what the do you know? And why are you going to tell me what to do? I also think I don't like the age thing where it's like, because you're older, you think you know better. And a lot of coaches that I've worked with and was considered like a problem player with my attitude, it's like, every player is different. You have to talk to us differently. Like, what I need is different from what Abigail needs, you know?
Right.
I don't know. I feel like the answers are never outside of me. So how are you going to tell me?
Right.
You know?
And so, kind of bringing it back to your childhood, you said that one thing missing in your childhood was your parents. What would you say is something missing in your adulthood?
I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is probably just the romance part. Yeah. I have both my parents. I have a great relationship with both of them. I love my son, and you know, I have my team, people I care about, but the romance department, lacking in that area. Sometimes I just want to be held. Yeah. You know, but I can't just have anybody hold me. That can get kind of weird. So it's like, and love is probably, romantic love is easily the most important thing in my life. It's the one thing that inspires me to do what I do and to share what I share. I want to do this life with somebody. So it's like I've been wired like this. I've been a lover girl my whole life. So it's like the one thing I want the most is just not, it's not in my life right now.
You're a mom. How would you say,
baby shark.
how would you say motherhood has changed you?
It made me crack down
In what
on
way?
what I was passionate about,
Okay.
what I wanted to do. What do I want to contribute to this world? Being beautiful, young, and paid, having all of these advantages, I never had to think about that. The next brand deal was paying my light bills. I wasn't concerned about what's my legacy going to be. Who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah.
When I had my child, I'm like, what am I going to leave you? What am I going to create for you? Like, what am I going to do to be like, damn, that was my mom. Like, so that's why for me, my son really made me lean in and trust and follow my heart even more. Because my heart is the only thing that has never steered me wrong. Like my mind and fear and all these things, it just but my heart has always been on point.
Yeah.
So my son really made me crack down about what I genuinely want to do and to follow my heart, because I want my son to do the same.
Life in the spotlight is hard, and nobody knows that more than a woman who's had to learn to navigate the complexities of love, relationships, and everything in between under the magnifying glass of social media.
I want to talk about your ex PJ a little bit, only because there was so much with that, you know.
And you guys like to post it all.
Just a little. But okay, so you've mentioned before that there's a certain perception of you, and he saw you for who you were. You guys fell in love. You guys planned to have your baby and all of that stuff. Why do you think you got so much backlash for, I feel like, sharing an arguably fair statement regarding athletes?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and you know, all of that stuff. Like, why do you feel as though people think you had, like, you were trying to come up off of him, as though you haven't been in this game for a minute?
Well, and the thing is that every person I've ever encountered, in the back of my mind, I wanted a relationship. Whether, like, hindsight is 20/20, right? So when I look back, some of those people don't make sense. But I always wanted a relationship. I've always been a one-man woman. I think a lot of that narrative is from when he tweeted, "You were faking it all along."
Yeah.
And he never came to my aid. So who are you going to believe, him or me? And I've done nothing but play up this narrative that people think.
Right.
He knows that.
Yeah.
But why would he come to my aid if he's upset with me? Hearts don't break even, right? So I think for me, it's like the shoe just made sense for me to wear that. I don't know why people even still think the way that they do about that situation. I love my child's father to death. I don't want to be with him. And like, our son was planned.
Yeah.
I thought that was my guy.
Right.
I guess foolish of me for thinking someone who's only 6 years younger than me. Let's not even get into the age gap, because y'all be glorifying certain shit. Okay, we ain't even gonna put a name to it, but I just genuinely thought that was my person who understood and saw me for me, because he never judged me. Like, that's how it appeared.
Yeah.
So that obviously was not true.
I also think it's fair to say, when it comes to your dating pool, you know, no disrespect to the father of your child, but he wasn't the biggest fish in the sea, right? So if you wanted, if it was a supposed come up, you would have been come up, right?
It's like I said in the video that everybody likes to reference, and I know exactly what video I'm talking about. 2018, when I was in the car chatting my shit. And I said, if I wanted to come up off a check, I could have a baby by an athlete, because they're very dumb.
Yeah.
Okay? So if it was all about the Benjamins, baby,
Yeah.
I could have had several children by now. I had my child when I was 29.
And you waited for someone you loved.
Come on, hello.
Yeah.
But people don't want to hear it. And I'm not Jehovah's Witness, babe. I'm not here to convert anybody. I don't convert people into believers. Like, you're going to believe what you want. The truth does not need validation. I love PJ. I love my son. I don't regret anything. And people are going to villainize me because I'm an easy target.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also interesting you're the villain in this situation, considering a moment where you're 7 months pregnant, you catch him doing something he shouldn't be doing.
Yeah.
And then he throws you out of the house 7 months pregnant. What's even going through your mind
Yeah.
at that point?
Honestly, I felt stuck. I had to call my mom. I was like, can you come get me? He wants me to leave. I mean, all I did was just catch him texting and FaceTiming and cheating on me. But he wants me to get the out. So can you come get me? At the time, I just felt betrayed, you know, and I thought, I don't know, I thought we were in a better place. I thought he really cared about me. I feel like I just get emotional crying, like just thinking about it. Like I want to cry because it's hard transitioning from that to just co-parenting, you know? So I give him grace in that area, but it was just really hard to believe. And I was just like, I can't believe I'm having a baby for somebody like so ungrateful. And I was like, where am I going to go? And at that moment, I understood why some people just suck and shut up. I understand, especially if you're not a household name. You don't have a following on Instagram. You can't turn around and make money.
Right.
I understand why people stay.
Right.
And it was that, because I've always judged people who stayed in those situations, and it was like, I wasn't ready to leave him then. So in my mind, I was just like, this is, but I don't know what I'm going to do. So we ended up squashing it, and I thugged it out for about 6 more months, but I just couldn't take anymore. I just couldn't let it go.
What was the last straw for you?
Honestly, the OnlyFans stuff. And he told me he had like never like purchased anything and like wasn't doing this and this, and like literally I just gotta tell the truth. I pulled up bank records that he had in the safe that we had, and I saw all these charges, and it was like a 2-year-old lie. And I'm like, you still didn't tell the truth about this?
Right. And this was for OnlyFans?
Yeah, and there's a lot of other stuff too.
Like what?
Like catching him watching porn of someone that I know, Tiana's.
Damn.
Oops. That's the fucking truth. Like I could cry thinking about all the shit I went through. And I never really shared it because who gives people are not going to empathize with me. I never been cheated on that I knew about. And I forgave a lot of stuff. I was understanding of his situation, of him being younger, him being in the NBA, every excuse you can name.
Yeah.
I just couldn't put up with that. There's just so many things I just couldn't overlook that were just a fucking slap in the face.
And this might be a triggering question, but you leave the situation, you choose you, and then 5 business days later, has another woman pregnant and proposes. What are you feeling in that moment when you see that?
I've cried a lot. That's the only reason I can talk to you about this stuff. And I've cried over the death of the illusion of what I thought I was going to have. Because I was never going to have a healthy, happy relationship. I was always going to be cheated on, lied to, and betrayed. So when I saw that, I genuinely was happy for him.
That takes a lot of strength to be.
I was happy for him because the reality is if I'm not going to date him, somebody else will.
Yeah.
So like my son is going to have a stepmom. That's not a military secret.
Right.
You know? So that part didn't bother me. I think it was just more so, it was like, I wanted that.
Right.
But it's like sitting here now, I still want that, but not with you.
Right.
You know, so it would be unfair to compare and contrast because I don't want to be there. That's why I'm here. That's why I chose me. And everything in my life has been substantially harder ever since I decided to choose myself. There have been so many obstacles thrown in my way. Being $50,000 deep in attorney fees alone, I've had 3 different attorneys.
Wow.
Right? So this has not been a glamorous ride, and I'm still on it.
Right.
I just got my hands up now at this point because what else am I might as well enjoy this.
Right.
But I think seeing that. Okay, pause though. Wait, what's going on?
We want to pivot from that.
Okay, but I want to know though, because this is my truth.
No, you're telling the truth. We want you to tell the truth. There's nothing wrong with that. I feel like you told enough.
Like, I hear you, and we can pivot, but I'm telling you right now, like, straight up, this is my f***ing truth. And but let me finish. I have never had the opportunity to really say how I feel. Nobody's given a to ask me. Like, at the end of the day, I have been on publicly and privately, and we talked about some of that at breakfast.
We don't want that to become the narrative of what this interview is, you know. But I get it. Vent, do all
No. I'm not venting. This is not venting. This is the truth. Like, I feel like I need some air now. After meltdown. You know, I hope for more harmonious days with co-parenting.
Yeah.
And wish him blessings on his journey.
Amen to that. I do want an update on the child support though, because people talked about it was 200,000, it was 10,000. Obviously, that wasn't true. And then at some point you shared that it was 2,500. So what is the update now? Are you guys still in court? Are you trying to figure it out, or have you guys come to some sort of agreement?
We're still in the process of figuring that out. So as of right now, it's still 2,500.
Okay, and where do you guys stand now?
With
as friends, co-parents?
You know, like I said, I think people underestimate how difficult it is to go from full-blown romance to strictly co-parenting.
Yeah.
So I give him a lot of grace and understanding through this process, as myself as well. But, you know, we're figuring it out. I've never been here before. He's never been here before. And I really do hope that at very least we could be friends. Yeah. Whenever that's meant to be.
Okay.
You know?
Fair. Okay, so I want to dive into your dating history a little bit.
Oh my God. Actually, one more question.
I want to dive into your dating history a little bit.
Allegedly.
So there are a few like prominent people that you have been linked to in the past. Or can you clear the air if some of those were untrue? So obviously we know people like Colin Kaepernick and Trey Songz, like we either saw you guys together or you were very vocal about that. But when it comes to someone like Ben Simmons and Lil Uzi, can you confirm or deny? You don't even have to go into any kind of detail, but were you linked to them in any kind of way, even if it was just like hanging out?
I don't know, was I? No face, no case.
No face, no case. And one thing I do want to, did you date YG? Or was that a video shoot?
No, we just did a video shoot together.
Okay.
And I was his baby mama.
Okay, you guys were out having ice cream. Because that was like a story at some point. Brittany Renner and YG. But it seemed like kind of video shooty.
It was a video shoot.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Who's the most famous person you've been linked to?
If I told you, I would have to kill you.
And
hey, if it ain't hit the blogs, then nobody know about it. Didn't happen.
What does finding love look like for you? Because I think as far as your dating pool is concerned, it is a lot of prominent people, whether it's rappers, athletes, and those are the stereotypes that come with those type of men are things you don't want in a partner. So what does that look like for you?
I think there's an exception to every rule. I would like to consider myself an exception to the rule. If you're an Instagram girl or a person in my position under that same umbrella, you would think that I wouldn't care about monogamy. So I would like to think that there is a guy that doesn't fit that stereotype, that, you know, beyond skin deep has more to offer. And I'm gonna be very honest with you, I don't know what that guy looks like. I have no idea what his career is, how old he is, what he looks like. I don't know. It is not for me to know at this point in time. All I can do is continue to elevate myself, trust my process, and when that guy's meant to appear, he will. But I have no idea.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these guys and people, I'm not even gonna make it a gender thing. I think a lot of people have no desire to go deeper.
Speaking of your value, you recently talked about very openly and candidly, very transparent, talked about, you said something to the effect of you hate how you allowed men to use you.
Yeah.
So one, what exactly do you mean by use? And two, what brought you to that realization?
Use meaning use my body as a masturbation tool. And what brought me to that point was, there's actually a few things, but it's kind of like really taking a step back and getting to know men, having conversations with them, seeing what they're capable of, right? Like even just a consistent good morning text is asking a lot these days.
Yeah.
You realize how much they're just not that into you, right? And when you subtract sex and any sexual talk from the equation, you really see a lot of guys have no desire to know how your day is, your favorite color, what do you plan on doing this today? What do you want to eat, you know?
Right.
So I think for me, seeing that, I realized that I did allow a lot of men to use me because I never made them get to know me, never made them court me, nothing. It was just first night, a little bit of alcohol, maybe not alcohol, maybe I just felt like it. I just did not understand my value. It's not their fault. I'm not here to be, oh, I'm such a victim. No, I didn't understand my value, and they were just mirroring back that lack of knowing.
Yeah.
I can't blame them for taking advantage. It was like I marked myself for clearance.
At what point did you understand your value?
Probably October.
Okay. And but like what was that moment? Like what made you be like, "Oh my God, I'm valuable."
Really answering to who I was giving my body to and why, and how it made me feel after. And my last partner, like sexual partner, in October, I didn't feel very good about myself. And I'm like, well, why? And so when you start interviewing yourself and asking yourself these difficult questions, you're like, why did I even sleep with him in the first place?
Yeah.
And I realized, I'm like, why am I so quick to hop in the bed? For what?
Did you find that answer?
Lack of self-worth. And it was me trying to connect. Like sex is better when there's meaning, when there's substance, when there's an understanding, when you have to work for it, right? The thing is if you could, you know, go to the gym once a year and you're fit the way you're fit, you wouldn't understand the value of going to the gym. But when you're in there 3 to 5 times a week, you understand what you've put in, the work that you put in. So for me, even me just being me, I only understand the value of something when I have to work for it. A guy that just wants to sleep with me the first night, you're still considered easy to me. Like, what are we doing? Sex without love or some type of bond is just exercise, you know? And when I took a step back and really started asking myself, like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
I was like, okay, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't feel good. How can I change this? So that really was for me like an eye-opener, just not feeling good about myself after.
And how did you change it? Or how will you change it?
I've been on strike since October. Like I said, my partner was in October. My strike started in October. October 18th, I think, to actually be exact. But yeah, I think just actually getting to know guys, having conversations with them. To be honest, my discernment was so on point. Like, I could talk to a guy for one day and just know, like, okay, he's not my guy. Okay, he doesn't see my value. Okay, he doesn't take me seriously. Like, he's just not that into you.
Yeah, and you
But
know
it's like,
what you want.
Yes, but you have to remove those, like, rose-colored glasses, though. Where for me, I was like, maybe if I try harder, he'll see my value. That's crazy. But that's kind of how I felt. Like, I have to do X, Y, Z for them to be able to see ABC.
Yeah.
That's not fair to me, because a guy who understands it is never going to play with it.
Say that again for the people in the back.
A guy who understands it is never going to play with it.
So what, moving forward, like, what is something that will be very clear to you as though this person values you? And even just outside of men, friendship, I'm glad you're at, a better place with like your family now, your parents now, but like, what is something that someone can do or say, or even just the energy you feel from them that would make you feel like this person actually values me?
I think it's two things, two C words: consistency and curiosity. I'm the type of person that in order for me to open up to you, you have to show up for me. That can be a simple text every day.
Yeah.
It could be asking how I am. But the curiosity aspect is wanting to know more. Like the why, the how, the when, the how did you get here? Like, what are you doing? Like, how are you feeling? Like, what's going on with you? Because a lot of guys will they'll text you consistently, but it won't be about anything.
Right. Good morning, good night. How's your
Exactly.
day?
But they're not invested. So it's the curiosity and consistency. And a lot of guys, they can't even fake that, because it requires just a genuine effort that it's like, you're either going to do it or you're not. Like, no one's going to ask you a question that they really don't care to know the answer to.
Right.
They're not even going to think of the question. And that's what I'm thinking about. You're not even asking me certain questions.
Right.
It's not about what you're saying. It's about what you're not saying.
Right.
It tells a lot.
That part
Yeah.
right there.
Right.
Okay, so I have a little game I want to play. Kind of talking about kind of the, whether it's the prominent men in the industry right now, like, would you date them, yes or no?
Oh, gosh,
I
you're trying to get me
wanna
canceled. I canceled.
Okay, so would you
Date, right? Not have sex.
No, not have
Okay,
sex,
commitment.
just date, hang out. If they're interested, they're like, Brittany, what's up? And you're like, what's up? Like nothing
They trying to be
crazy.
my husband, and I'm my cousin.
Yeah, something like that.
something like that. Maybe.
Just try to hang out. And not with all respect to whatever their situations may be.
Ah, this is for fun.
This is for fun. So would you date Diddy?
No.
No. Why?
He's not going to commit to anyone. He's never going to be serious. No thanks.
Okay. Nick Cannon.
Nope.
No? Why?
Way too many baby mamas.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like a commitment phobe as well as Diddy.
Okay. Fair. Drake.
No.
Why?
Because why?
Drake's
I love Drake as an artist.
Yeah.
But dating, no. I think there was a post that he did about like having 42 engagement rings or whatever. I'm like, how have you met that many people that you
wanted to be engaged
Yeah.
to?
So that's probably that would be probably my biggest red flag. Is like, nah.
Okay.
I love his music though.
Okay, the last one, Cam Newton. And the reason I'm asking, I feel like you guys, I watched an interview between the two. You guys had a lot of chemistry. You guys had chemistry. Am I tripping?
Oh shit. Cam is he's attractive.
Yes.
Date, he doesn't believe in
Monogamy.
Yeah. So how would we be a match? All these men that you've named to me don't seem like they're into monogamy. So that's why it would be a no. I think all of the guys you named are attractive, but they don't want to be with just one woman, and they don't have to be.
Right.
So Cam Newton, no.
Okay.
He's fine though.
I know. I love the chemistry
He's
between
fine.
you guys. So if you guys can explore that one day, I'm just saying. Just have some dinner. Just have some dinner. Have some
Help.
Help. Okay. What do you think you influence?
What do I think I influence?
Or what do you influence in your perspective?
When people write me and I read my DMs for them to live in their truth, a lot of girls who write me, or people, like I said, let me not make it even a gender thing. A lot of people who write me are like, I'm getting out of this situation, or I was able to see this, or making lifestyle changes. I think I represent change, that it doesn't matter how old you are, no matter what you've done, no matter what your track record, if you want to change today, you can.
Yeah.
And I think I represent that. Actually, I know I represent that.
Yeah.
Because you can change whenever you want. You don't need anybody's permission to do so either.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, well, what is next for Brittany Renner? Are you gonna write another book? Are you going give us the tea. I want to know more about this talk show. Like so many things. Like what is next for Brittany?
I am open-minded to writing another book, but I trust in divine timing. So at this point, I don't feel called to write one. My story is still being written. The talk show is the biggest thing.
Yes.
Because I am ready to step into my power. I am ready to share my perspective. I am ready to just share my well of wisdom with the world. So the talk show is the biggest thing to be on the lookout for. A lot of people have been wanting me to do a podcast, some type of show. So I'm like, okay, let's rock and roll, baby.
Yeah.
So the talk show is what's next for me. And I'm looking forward to it. And they better get ready.
When is that gonna drop? Like, give us all the deets where people can tune in, all of that stuff if you can share.
No set date just yet.
Okay.
But still working out those details. But we have shot some things already, and it's just a matter of when we want to drop stuff.
Oh my God.
So,
Can
yeah.
you give us like a hint, like something?
Like what?
I don't know, like something like. Okay, just let us know what we can look forward to or what we can expect.
I'm willing to sit down with anyone.
Okay.
I don't care if they're considered the scum of the earth. I want to sit down and do an interview with them.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to go there. I'm not afraid to be canceled.
Yeah.
Let's go into the belly of the beast. I'm not afraid.
Yes, I'm excited.
Bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. You are amazing at what you do. You know that, right?
Oh, thank you so
I have
much.
to just give you your flowers. Like, I felt very safe here with you. You asked amazing questions. It's nice to know that journalists still do their due diligence, and it just makes me want to tell you my whole life story.
Stop. Well, tell me everything. I'm just kidding.
Tell me more.
Well, thank you so
Thank
much,
you for your
Brittany,
time.
for stepping into the shade room and
Officially.
sharing with officially. We love it here. Well, thank you, Brittany. Let us know if there's anything else you want to share with the people, anything you want to plug, girl. Now is
Just
the
be
time to
on the
do it.
lookout for my talk show. Follow me at Bundle of Brittany, TikTok, the Brittany Renner, Twitter, Brittany Renner. Buy my book on Amazon. I wrote it when I was 26. It'd be interesting to see the contrast now. And just be ready.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Brittany Renner.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you. Yeah. Hey roommates, if you want to see more celebs stepping into the shade room, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel here.